The training fleet arrived without ceremony. One moment the cadets were packed inside metal pods, strapped in and listening to final warnings. The next moment, the pods were released into open space and hurled toward the surface of a Class-6 Deathworld. This planet was not meant for life. Every known chart listed it as unsurvivable. The gravity was unstable, the air was full of poisons, and the surface was ruled by creatures large enough to crush ships. The instructors had said it clearly. This was a test of endurance. This was a test of will. Most would fail. As the pods entered the atmosphere, fire wrapped around them. The sky burned in shades of red and orange, thick clouds rolling like living things. Inside the pods, alarms screamed. Screens flashed warnings faster than the cadets could read them. Gravity spike detected. Toxic plant life confirmed. Megafauna movement below. Many alien cadets cried out in fear. Some clawed at their restraints. Others froze, unable to move or think. Their bodies were not built for this kind of stress. Their homeworlds were calm and gentle compared to this place. Even the shaking of the pods felt unbearable to them. One pod, however, was quiet. Inside it sat Lily Carter. She was small compared to many of the other cadets, with dark hair tied back and steady eyes fixed on the display in front of her. Her pod shook just as violently as the others. The alarms screamed just as loud. Yet her breathing stayed slow and even. Lily watched the data scroll past. The numbers were bad. Very bad. Gravity climbed higher, then dipped without warning. The air outside was thick with spores and ash. Winds on the surface reached speeds that could tear metal apart. By every standard measure, this world wanted her dead. She felt a small smile form on her face. Not because it was easy. Not because she thought she would win without effort. She smiled because she understood this place. It reminded her of home. The pod slammed into the ground. Metal screamed as the impact tore through the landing struts. Lily was thrown forward, the restraints biting into her shoulders. Pain flared, sharp but brief. She gritted her teeth and waited as the pod skidded across rock and dirt before finally coming to a stop. For several seconds, there was only silence. Then the pod door hissed open. Heat rushed in first. The air was thick and heavy, carrying the smell of burning stone and strange chemicals. The sky above was a dull red, streaked with dark clouds that moved far too fast. In the distance, the ground rose into jagged cliffs, while closer by, twisted plants pushed up from cracked soil, their surfaces glowing faintly. Lily stepped out slowly. Her boots sank slightly into the ground, which felt soft in some places and hard as steel in others. Gravity pressed down on her chest, heavier than she was used to, but not enough to stop her. She adjusted her stance without thinking, spreading her weight and bending her knees. Around her, other pods were opening. Alien cadets stumbled out, gasping and choking as their bodies struggled to adjust. Some collapsed immediately, their legs unable to support them. Others stared around in horror, eyes wide as they took in the violent sky and hostile land. One cadet dropped to the ground and began to scream. Lily turned her head at the sound. She watched as the cadet tried to stand, failed, and fell again. Nearby, another cadet's scanner sparked and died, overwhelmed by the environment. Lily checked her own gear. Her scanner flickered, then stabilized. It was old by military standards, simple and sturdy. She tapped it once and nodded to herself. The ground trembled. Small rocks jumped as something massive moved far away. A deep sound rolled across the land, low and heavy, like the growl of the planet itself. Several cadets cried out again, panic spreading fast. Lily did not move. She listened. She felt the vibration through her boots and legs. Her mind began to work, fitting pieces together. Large creature. Heavy steps. Not close. Not yet. She looked up at the sky once more. Lightning flashed within the clouds, but no rain fell. She could already feel the dryness in her throat, the pull of gravity in her muscles, the quiet promise of pain and effort ahead. Lily took a slow breath. This world was cruel. It was loud. It was dangerous. But it was honest. As the other cadets panicked and called for help that would not come, The human girl stood still among the wrecked pods. Her calm felt strange in this place, almost unnatural. The instructors watching from orbit would later notice it. The planet had made its first move, and Lily Carter was ready to answer. The first night came fast. The red sky darkened without warning, as if someone had turned down a burning lamp. The light did not fade gently. It vanished. Thick clouds rolled together and blocked what little glow remained, leaving the land in deep shadow. Lily Carter stood near her pod and watched the change. Night on this world was not calm. The air grew colder but heavier at the same time. Strange sounds carried across the ground, clicks, growls, and distant roars that did not belong to wind or thunder. Around her, the alien cadets were breaking. Some tried to activate emergency beacons again and again, even though the instructors had warned them it would not work until the test ended. Others gathered in tight groups, speaking in fast, panicked voices. A few simply sat on the ground, staring at nothing. One cadet stumbled toward Lily. His movements were slow and uneven, his breathing loud and wet. He stopped a few steps away, clearly afraid. "This place is wrong," he said, his voice shaking. "The air hurts. The ground moves." Lily nodded. "Yeah," she said quietly. "It does." She did not argue. She did not try to calm him with false hope. She only looked around, her eyes scanning the land. The ground nearby dipped into a shallow hollow between broken rocks. Thick plants grew there, their leaves wide and tough, bending in the wind but not breaking. Lily pointed toward it. "Better spot than out here," she said. "Wind won't hit as hard." The cadet hesitated, then followed. Soon, a few others noticed and joined them. Lily did not call out or give orders. She simply moved with purpose, and others moved with her. As darkness settled fully, the planet revealed more of itself. The ground began to shake in small pulses. Not earthquakes, but footsteps, heavy ones. Something large was moving far away, but every step sent a warning through the soil. Several cadets cried out again. Lily crouched and placed her hand on the ground. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the pattern. Slow, steady, not hunting yet. She stood and began to work. Using broken pieces of pod metal, she scraped away loose dirt and cleared space under the thick plants. She stacked rocks to block the wind and used wiring from her pod to hold panels in place. Her hands moved quickly, even as gravity pulled at her muscles. Fire was harder. The air was wrong, thin in some ways and heavy in others. Lily tested small sparks from her kit until one caught. The flame burned low and strange, but it stayed alive. She fed it slowly, careful not to let it flare. The light brought comfort. Cadets gathered closer, drawn by warmth and movement. Some watched her with open confusion. A human was not supposed to do this. Humans were supposed to be weak. The wind rose suddenly. It howled across the land, carrying dust and sharp spores. The plants around them shuddered. One cadet screamed as the wind tore at his exposed skin. Lily reacted at once. She pulled him down, pushing his face toward the ground and behind the rocks. Others copied her, hiding low. The storm passed as quickly as it came. When it was over, the silence felt heavy. One cadet began to sob. Lily sat near the fire and checked her gear again. Her hands trembled slightly now. The strain was catching up to her. She ignored it. "This world wants you to panic," she said, not loudly, but clearly enough for those nearby to hear. "If you do, it wins." Some looked at her. Others did not. The night deepened. Eyes began to glow in the distance. Shapes moved beyond the rocks, circling but not approaching the fire. Low sounds echoed across the dark land. Lily added fuel carefully. Fire meant safety but also attention. Balance mattered. Hours passed slowly. A few cadets slept in short, shaking bursts. Others stayed awake, frozen with fear. Lily remained alert, her back against the rocks, her gaze moving constantly. She felt exhaustion pulling at her, but she stayed upright. Near the darkest hour of the night, a deep roar rolled across the land, close enough to make the ground jump. Several cadets cried out again. Lily stood. She tightened her grip on a metal rod torn from her pod and took a steady breath. The first night was not over yet, but the human girl was still standing. Morning came slowly, as if the planet itself was tired. The red clouds thinned just enough to let a dull light reach the ground. It was not a sunrise in any gentle sense. There was no warmth in it, only visibility. The land looked even more broken in the weak light, cracked stone, twisted plants, and deep marks in the soil where heavy creatures had passed during the night. Lily Carter was already awake. She had not slept much. Her body ached, and every breath felt thick, but she moved carefully, stretching her limbs and rolling her shoulders. Pain was familiar. It was something to note, not fear. Around the shelter, several cadets stirred. A few were still alive only because they had stayed near the fire. Others were injured, cuts from flying debris, bruises from falls, burns from the strange air. One cadet did not wake up. The group noticed in silence. No one spoke his name. They did not know how. Fear returned quickly. "We should signal again," someone said. "They can't expect us to survive this." Lily looked at the darkened beacon lying useless in the dirt. She shook her head. "They know," she said. "This is the test." That answer did not bring comfort. As the light grew stronger, the environment began to change again. Heat rose from the ground, carrying sharp smells that made eyes water. Several plants opened wide, releasing clouds of fine dust that drifted through the air. Cadets coughed and stumbled back. Lily pulled a thin filter from her kit and fixed it over her mouth. She tore strips of fabric from her sleeve and handed them out. "Breathe through this," she said. "Slow." Some obeyed. Some did not. One alien cadet, Evan Brooks, watched her closely. He was taller than Lily and far stronger by normal standards, but now he leaned heavily on a rock, his skin pale. "How do you know what to do?" he asked. Lily paused. She looked out across the land, then back at him. "My planet tried to kill us too," she said simply. He did not understand at first. Lily pointed toward the distant cliffs, where dust storms twisted through narrow paths. Unstable ground, extreme weather, dangerous animals. "Earth has all of that," she said. "Just smaller." "Usually." Evan stared at her. "But this world is worse." She nodded. "Yeah, but not different." The cadets began to move as the heat increased. Staying in one place was no longer safe. The ground near the pods was cracking, releasing gases that burned the skin. Lily scanned the area and chose a direction. "Higher ground," she said. "Rock is safer than soil." No one argued. They moved slowly, helping the injured, stopping often to rest. Gravity pressed down harder with each step. Several cadets fell. Lily helped pull them back up, even when her own legs shook. Along the way, they found signs of life everywhere. Deep claw marks on stone, bones crushed flat, trees split in half by something heavy. Each sign broke morale further. Then they reached a narrow ridge. From there, they could see far across the land. Smoke rose from distant cracks. Large shapes moved slowly near the horizon. The scale of the planet became clear. Some cadets sat down and refused to move. Lily knelt beside one of them. "If you stop here," she said calmly, "you won't get up again." Her voice was not cruel. It was honest. The cadet forced himself to stand. As the group settled behind the ridge, a shadow passed overhead. Everyone froze. Something flew above the clouds, massive wings blocking the light for a moment. Several cadets screamed. Lily watched the sky carefully. "Too high," she said. "Not hunting us." "How can you tell?" Evan asked. "Because if it was," she replied, "we'd already be dead." The words were simple. The truth behind them was heavy. Hours later, the alien instructors observed from orbit. They replayed feeds from the surface again and again. They did not understand the human. She should have been weak. She should have broken. Instead, she adapted. Lily sat with her back against the rock, sharing the last of her water ration with another cadet. Her hands shook now openly. Her body was reaching its limits, but her eyes stayed sharp. This world was not a puzzle to solve. It was a challenge to endure. And endurance was something humans understood very well. The attack began without warning. The air changed first. The ground-level heat pulled away, replaced by a cold pressure that made skin tighten. Lily felt it at once. She straightened from where she had been sitting and raised her hand. "Quiet," she said. The cadets froze. From beyond the ridge came a low sound, deep and slow. It was not a roar. It was breath. Heavy. Controlled. Something large was close. Evan Brooks swallowed hard. That wasn't there before. Lily shook her head. It was. We just couldn't hear it yet. The ground trembled. Loose stones rolled down the slope as a massive shape moved into view. The creature was taller than the ridge itself, its body covered in thick, layered hide that reflected the dull red light. Its head was wide and flat, with eyes set far apart and a mouth filled with curved teeth made for crushing, not cutting. Several cadets screamed. The creature turned its head at the sound. Lily moved instantly. She grabbed a broken metal plate and slammed it against the rock, sending a sharp noise across the ridge in the opposite direction. The sound echoed hard and fast. The creature paused. "Move," Lily said. "Slow. Stay low." Panic wanted to take over. Some cadets tried to run. Lily caught one by the arm and pulled him back. "Do not scatter," she said firmly. "It will chase." The creature took a step forward. The ground shook again. Its nostrils flared as it tested the air. Lily scanned the terrain. The ridge narrowed ahead, dropping into a steep slope filled with loose rock. Dangerous for them. Worse for something that large. She pointed. "There. When it charges, we go there." No one asked why. The creature let out a deep growl and surged forward. "Now," Lily shouted. They ran. Gravity dragged at their legs, turning each step into a struggle. Behind them, the creature charged, faster than it looked possible. The sound of its movement was like thunder tearing the ground apart. Lily reached the edge first and dropped flat, grabbing the arm of the cadet behind her. One by one, they slid down the loose slope, stones breaking away under their weight. The creature followed. Then the ground gave way. The loose rock collapsed beneath its massive weight. The slope turned into a moving wall of stone and dust. The creature lost footing and crashed downward, roaring in rage as it slid and struck the cliff below. The cadets hit the lower ground hard, rolling and gasping. Silence followed. The creature did not rise. Dust hung in the air as the group lay still, afraid to move. Lily pushed herself up slowly, her arms shaking. She looked over the edge. Far below, the predator struggled, wounded but alive. It turned its head toward the ridge again, then pulled itself away, retreating into the broken land. Only when it vanished did the cadets begin to breathe again. One of them laughed suddenly, sharp and broken. Another began to cry. Lily sat down hard, her legs no longer steady. Her hands shook openly now. She pressed them into the dirt until the shaking eased. Evan stared at her. "You planned that." She shook her head. "I guessed. That thing would have killed us." "Yes," Lily said, "if we had panicked." The truth settled heavily over the group. They had not survived because they were stronger. They had survived because someone understood fear and did not let it rule her. From orbit, the instructors watched the footage in silence. The predator was classified as a top-tier hunter. No cadet group had ever escaped one before. They replayed the moment again and again. The human had not fought the monster. She had outthought it. As the group gathered themselves and moved deeper into the rocky terrain, the cadets began to look at Lily differently. Not as a weak species member, not as an outsider. They looked at her as a leader, and the death world was not finished with them yet. The land changed again as they moved farther from the crash site. The rocks grew taller and closer together, forming narrow paths that blocked the worst of the wind. The ground was still dangerous, but it was more stable here. Lily slowed the group and raised her hand. "We stop," she said. No one argued. The cadets dropped where they stood, breathing hard. Some leaned against stone walls. Others lay flat on their backs, staring at the dark sky. Fear had drained them. Only habit and instinct kept them moving. Lily walked the edge of the area, checking sight lines and listening. Every sound mattered. When she was satisfied, she returned to the group. "We can't keep reacting," she said. "We plan, or this world eats us." The words were simple. No drama, just truth. She pointed to a tall cadet with wide shoulders. "You, Adam Lee, you're strong. You help move rocks and clear paths." Adam blinked. "Me? Yes," Lily said. "Now." She turned to another. "Claire Mason, your eyesight is good. You watch the open ground. If something moves, you speak." Claire nodded quickly. "Joshua Bell," Lily continued. "You stay near the injured. Keep them awake. Keep them breathing." Joshua swallowed, then nodded. Roles spread through the group like a quiet signal. Panic had no space where purpose lived. They worked. Rocks were stacked to block narrow entrances. Broken pod panels were wedged into cracks to form crude barriers. The shelter was not strong, but it was hidden. That mattered more. As they worked, the planet tested them again. The ground shuddered, not violently, but often. Small stones fell from above. One cadet cried out when dust filled his eyes. "Down," Lily said calmly. They dropped. The shaking passed. Hours later, they sat together in the shadow of the rocks. The air was still harsh, but tolerable for now. Lily checked supplies. They had very little. Water was almost gone. Food was worse. "We ration," she said. "Small amounts. Often." A few cadets protested weakly. "If you eat everything now," Lily said, "you won't survive tomorrow." That ended the argument. Evan Brooks sat beside her. "You talk like you've done this before." Lily hesitated, then nodded. "Storms, floods, heat waves, places where help doesn't come fast." Evan looked at the rocks around them. "Earth? Yes." Silence followed. The realization was spreading. This was not luck. This was experience. As the light faded again, creatures began to move in the distance. Smaller this time, packs, fast shapes that darted between stones. Claire whispered, "They're watching us." Lily nodded. "They're waiting." She picked up a piece of sharp metal and scraped it across stone, sending sparks into the dark. The creatures paused. "Fire scares some things," Lily said. "Not all, but enough." The cadets huddled closer. That night, no one slept deeply. The planet screamed around them. Wind howled through narrow gaps. Distant roars echoed, answered by others far away. Once, something struck the barrier hard enough to shake it. Adam raised a rock, shaking. "Hold," Lily said. "Do not charge." The sound faded. Near dawn, exhaustion caught up to her. Lily sat with her back against the stone, eyes half closed. Her head dipped for a moment. Evan noticed. "You should rest." She opened her eyes. Later, but even she could not fight forever. From orbit, the instructors watched the feeds closely now. The human had changed the group. Chaos had become order. Fear had turned into function. This was not expected. The test parameters had never included leadership. As the light returned once more, the cadets gathered around Lily without thinking. She did not stand above them. She stood with them. The Deathworld had not grown kinder, but for the first time they were not just surviving. They were learning how to live. The planet did not wait for them to recover. Soon after the light returned, the ground began to change again. The air grew thicker, pressing down on lungs and slowing movement. Each breath felt heavier than the last. Lily noticed it first when her chest tightened and her steps shortened. "Something's wrong," she said. As if answering her, the ground shook hard. Not a single udar, but a rolling motion that twisted through the stone. Cracks spread across the rock walls. Dust poured down in choking waves. Several cadets screamed as they lost balance and fell. "Stay against the stone," Lily shouted. "Do not run." They pressed themselves flat as the shaking continued. Small rocks struck shoulders and backs. One large piece smashed near Adam Lee, missing his head by a narrow space. Then it stopped. Silence followed, broken only by coughing. Before anyone could speak, a sharp smell filled the air. A yellow-green mist seeped from the cracks in the ground, slow and steady. "Back," Lily said. "Slow." They moved away, but the gas spread faster than expected. It burned the eyes and throat. One cadet dropped to his knees, gasping. Joshua Bell rushed to him, pulling him upright. "Breathe shallow," he said, copying Lily's earlier advice. Lily tore open the last filters and passed them out. There were not enough. She hesitated only a second, then removed her own filter and handed it to the weakest cadet. Evan saw it. "You need that." "I can handle it," Lily said. Her voice was rough now. They pushed on, climbing higher as the gas pooled below. Gravity shifted again, growing stronger with every step. Legs trembled, backs bent. Claire fell. Lily grabbed her arm before she could slide back down. Pain shot through Lily's shoulder, but she held on. "I've got you," she said through clenched teeth. Together, they pulled Claire to safety. At the top of the rise, the air cleared slightly. The group collapsed, exhausted. Several cadets were shaking uncontrollably. Others lay still, staring at nothing. The planet was not done. A low hum filled the air. It was not sound alone. It was pressure. Lily felt it in her bones. Gravity surged. The force slammed them into the ground. Breathing became a struggle. Even lifting a hand felt impossible. Cries of pain filled the narrow space. Lily pressed her face against the stone and forced air into her lungs. Her vision blurred. Spots danced in her eyes. "Spread out," she gasped. "Less strain." Some managed to move. Others could not. Minutes dragged by like hours. Then, slowly, the pressure eased. When Lily finally pushed herself up, her arms shook violently. Blood trickled from her nose. She wiped it away and looked at the others. They were alive. Barely. Evan laughed weakly, then stopped. "That was the planet itself." Lily nodded. "Yeah." From orbit, the instructors argued. Readings spiked beyond expected limits. The death world was escalating faster than predicted. One voice asked the question none of them wanted to answer. Should the test be ended? On the surface, Lily helped the injured sit up. She moved slowly now. Every step hurt. Her body was reaching its breaking point, but her mind stayed clear. "This world doesn't want us here," she said. "That means we're still in its way." The cadets looked at her. Fear and trust mixed together. Lily took a deep, painful breath and stood straight. They had survived predators. They had survived storms. Now they had survived the planet itself. And it was clear to everyone watching. Humans were not built to avoid harsh worlds. They were built to endure them. From orbit, the instructors replayed the footage again and again. The human girl, Lily Carter, had done what no cadet should have survived. She moved calmly through the chaos, adapted instantly to each new threat, and led the aliens in a way they had never expected. One instructor shook his head. "This is impossible." Another said quietly, "She should have broken hours ago." They reviewed every sensor reading. Gravity spikes, toxic gas, apex predators, shaking ground. Nothing accounted for how she was still standing, still guiding others, still alive. Some cadets had died. Some had nearly lost their minds. Yet the human had not only survived, she had organized, protected, and taught the others to endure. One older instructor frowned. "Earth must be different." "Different?" asked a younger one. "It's supposed to be weak, average, not built for this." The older one sighed. "No, Earth made them. This girl is a product of survival, endurance, and adaptability. She has been tested before she even left her world." On the surface, Lily paused for a moment. She looked across the broken landscape, the red clouds above, the jagged cliffs, the distant shadows of moving creatures. Her expression did not carry fear, carried understanding. She knew the planet was still dangerous. She knew the cadets were exhausted and injured. She knew the world would continue to push them. But to her, this was not impossible. This was familiar. The alien cadets looked at her differently now. The fear that had gripped them in the first moments of arrival was fading. Trust replaced it, quiet and growing. "She can see things we can't," whispered Evan Brooks. "She understands it." "Maybe humans are just built for this," muttered Claire Mason. Lily began moving again, guiding the cadets toward higher ground. Every step was careful, every decision deliberate. She did not need orders. She did not need guidance. From orbit, the instructors finally understood the truth. Humans were not weak. Humans were not fragile. Humans were designed for struggle, honed by a planet that demanded toughness and reward endurance. They did not panic in chaos. They adapted. The human girl's smile, quiet as it was, became clear to all who watched. It was not arrogance. It was recognition. Recognition that she had faced worlds like this before, and she would survive this one too. The Class-6 Deathworld had been intended as the ultimate test. It had failed to break her. Lily Carter walked steadily across the rocky terrain, leading the cadets forward, proof of what her species could endure. Rescue came quietly. After what felt like endless days, a shuttle descended through the thick red clouds. Its engines hummed low, barely disturbing the jagged landscape below. The alien cadets watched in awe and relief as the craft touched down, metal legs sinking slightly into the uneven ground. Lily Carter stood at the front of the group. She scanned the sky and the surrounding land. Nothing moved that could threaten them at this moment. Still, she did not relax completely. The world was harsh, and danger had never truly gone away. The cadets followed her without hesitation. Evan Brooks, Adam Lee, Claire Mason, and Joshua Bell walked close, injured or exhausted, but alive. They looked to her, not as a human, not as a girl, but as a leader who had guided them through impossible trials. One by one, they boarded the shuttle. Lily waited until the last cadet was on board before stepping up herself. She paused at the entrance, looking back at the raging planet below. Her expression was calm. She had survived. They had survived. And in that survival, she had changed the way the alien cadets, and even their instructors in orbit, saw humanity. The shuttle lifted off. Dust and debris swirled in its wake. Below, the death world roared silently, rocks grinding, winds tearing across the surface, predators still lurking. It was still a world that could kill in moments. Yet, for the human girl and those who followed her, it had been conquered. In orbit, the instructors exchanged glances. No words were necessary. The humans had passed the impossible test. Not because the planet was easy, but because they were extraordinary. Lily sat in the shuttle, her back straight, eyes steady. Around her, the cadets began to recover, some resting, some quietly speaking of the lessons learned. They had faced death together, guided by a species they had underestimated. The shuttle passed through the upper atmosphere. The planet fell away below, its surface a jagged, chaotic puzzle. Lily watched it disappear, still calm, still unafraid. She knew that, for humans, harsh worlds were not impossible. They were challenges to be endured, lessons to be learned, and opportunities to prove strength, courage, and adaptability. The cadets would carry her example forever. The instructors would record her actions for decades. And the galaxy would remember that humans were not weak. They were remarkable. And the human girl who had smiled at the Class-6 Deathworld had proven it beyond any doubt.